We're just going to be talking today about probiotics. Now, could you be doing more harm by taking them? That's a novel approach, isn't it? You often find that probiotics now are everywhere. They're actually even in the supermarket aisle, in children's gummies, or being put into our foods. And what you often find is that once something becomes, or something that the consumers want, then the companies come out straight away. It's all about gut health at the moment. So we know the term beneficial bacteria. So what we do is we think, okay, I need more beneficial bacteria. Out I go, and I'm going to take a probiotic. And now if I take that, I'm covered. Companies are putting it into our foods. So anything that becomes really popular, all of a sudden you'll find it in your food. Years back, it was vitamin D, it was omega-3s before that. You name it, they'll find. So over the past decade, probiotics have really become centre stage, and there's huge money. It's $1 billion industry. And we're told to pop one daily because it's good for your health. I'm here to tell you that you could be doing more harm than good. So you're probably going, holy fadoli. Probiotics, is it what you need? Well, yes and no. Okay, yes, they're really essential while taking a course of antibiotics. Now, a lot of people say, oh no, wait till you finish the antibiotics and then have them after. No, they're actually while you're having antibiotic treatment, but you should be having them at least 4 hours away from having the antibiotics, all right? So the first thing is yes, take a very broad spectrum, a therapeutic spectrum. So not just one of these over-the-counter that's got, I know it might say 35 million or 50 million, and you think, ooh, or billion, and you think, wow, that's amazing. But we're talking about high strength, 500 billion with a broad spectrum range, okay? So don't just go for the cheapo ones. You're probably not doing any good at all. So what you're doing, a course of antibiotics wipes out pathogenic bacteria, which at times we do need a course of antibiotics for, not always, but often essential. But they also wipe out our beneficial bacteria and cause them to suffer somewhat. So we really want to make sure that you're putting a really good course there. But that's not the only thing, so stay tuned. Okay? Now, yes, again, you need it if you're suffering from a long-standing health condition. So people that are suffering with, being overweight for sometimes quite obese or morbidly obese, people that have rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, those inflammatory bowel diseases, long-standing IBS, because there's a reduction in a certain bacterial species. Now, the mistake that people make is, again, getting over the counter. And you could be doing more harm than good, because the strain needed for if you have something like an inflammatory bowel disease or rheumatoid arthritis is very different from the one that you need for, let's say, eczema or asthma or other immune conditions. So we know now through research that, and I was just doing some reading about rheumatoid arthritis this morning, that there's a prevalence of an increase in a certain type of bacteria and a reduced number and diversity in another type. And so we need to put the other type in there to improve numbers. And again, that's not the only thing. And that comes as that if you taking it because you just think it's the healthy thing to do, then probably save your money because they're pretty expensive. Look, we're not talking about unsafe, but you are playing around with something that you don't need and you're causing an imbalance in diversity. So when you're taking something for example, lactobacillus rhamnosus, which is very useful for people that have got eczema, well, if you've got something like IBS or another inflammatory bowel disease, that's not going to do you any good, and it's going to actually push numbers for the numbers that you do need quite possibly out of whack and actually worsen your condition. So don't just pop it because you think it's a better thing to do. Do not, and this is really what I'm talking about here, is do not take a probiotic when you insist on eating a diet low in soluble and insoluble fibre. The reason why is the bacteria that you're putting in. So probiotics are like a seed, okay? So they don't go in and grow in the fact that they need a place, a nice place to grow, and they need to be fed, and they actually help your bacteria grow. So what they do is they go in there, they get into your body, and they live for about 3 to 4 days in your gut, and after that they're out. So the warmth of your body brings them to life. they go down, they travel down into the large intestine, and they help. So say, for example, you're taking Lactobacillus rhamnosus, it's going to help your Lactobacillus rhamnosus that is looking a bit infirmed and sad and weak, and it's going to pre-ferment food for it and then feed it onto it. So it's sort of like a little personal trainer, or like a mother that cuts up veggies for a baby or mashes it, making it easier for it to digest, making it easier for it to ferment, so that your own body's Lactobacillus rhamnosus gets stronger, okay? But you have to feed it. So it's there to help your own beneficial bacteria, but two, it relies on food, or it's just going to go out the other side and it's not going to make any difference. So as gut engineer, I've been teaching people for years about the value of prebiotic foods. So prebiotic foods are basically like fertilizer. So if you think about a probiotic as a seed, now if you just had a big expansive garden and you threw those seeds and, naffed off, the chance of them growing, especially when you're not watering them or digging them in or looking after the soil or whatever. Look, I've seen people that have had amazing gardens and done nothing, but that's the exception, not the rule. But what happens here is that they die. They need food, okay? Food from the sunlight, food from water, sometimes extra nutrients in the soil. So the same thing with our body. You need to give it food. So if you're just having a probiotic and just think, oh, okay, well, I'll just sit back and do nothing, then save your money. There is no shortcuts. I hate to burst your bubble, but there are no shortcuts to good health, okay? So a recent study, and I'll just read this one off, by a group of scientists at the University of Colorado Boulder, suggests that the prebiotics, this food that I was talking about, like fertilizer for your garden, not only feed good bacteria, but can improve sleep, buffer the psychological impacts of stress, and improve health conditions. Oh, it's like, I don't know, sometimes it's just, it's so basic that we can't seem to think that it's real, because we really want someone else to help us and to fix it, but it really is up to us and we can do it. So the things is prebiotics are the food for your probiotics, okay, for your beneficial gut flora. So things like Jerusalem artichoke, yams, leeks, onion, garlic, beans, legumes, buckwheat, cheese, chickpeas. I'm reading heaps off here. Lentils, oats, flax seeds. What happens is that a lot of these are undigestible. Okay, so what happens is that you put it into the stomach, goes down to the small intestines, your body absorbs the nutrients, and then the undigestible part goes into your large bowel, and the beneficial bacteria there go, woohoo, food. They take that food, they ferment it, they produce short-chain fatty acids that go all over your body and do amazing things that modulate our mood, appetite and sleep, regulate our immune system, keep our healthy, absorb nutrients from the food. So many things. So if you're sitting there and just taking probiotics thinking, oh, I think I feel better, or I'm not sure, whatever, and not paying attention to your diet, then you're not going to get the benefits. So move over probiotics, prebiotics, not in a powder, not in a jar, in real food. Porridge for breakfast, having flax seeds in your smoothies, having more beans and legumes. And I know a lot of people out there, a lot of you might be saying, look, I have beans and legumes, and every time I do, I'm bloated, I'm, tooting, and it's just really uncomfortable. It's not worth it. One, you're eating too much. Two, it's a very big sign that you haven't not got enough beneficial bacteria to break down that undigestible part and ferment it. So guys, please look at what you're doing here. I urge you, talk to people all the time, and the money they spend on things is just staggering. So real food, not powders, not pills, not supplements. And if you have a long-standing health condition, then please seek advice from, me, your naturopath, nutritionist, to get a probiotic that supports you in the therapeutic stages, not forever, but while you are trying to build your own beneficial bacteria. And please do it with food, not just nothing. Thanks for listening, everybody.